Hi, my name is Kimberley Griffiths and I'm the author of 5 novels with Random House and Scholastic Press. And I'm here today to talk to you about 3x5 card plotting. You may wonder, what is 3x5 card plotting? It's using a pack of 3x5 cards that you can find at any stationery store. Every writer that I've ever known loves the stationery store. The mall, not so much, but the stationery stores like Staples and Office Max are our friends. We love all the rows of shiny pens and notebooks. So next time you're there, you can pick up some 3x5 cards and try this plotting method. And they come in a variety of colors, although in the past I have just tended to use your basic white. One thing that's so nice about 3x5 cards as well is that they're so small they can fit into your pocket, your purse, your computer bag. You can use them in your home office if you go work at the library or you have an office outside of your home. They can go with you anywhere. And they can be reshuffled, thrown away, redone, dropped. You can also use the blank side or the line side. I tend to use the blank side. There's something about the freedom of the blank side. I guess the line side reminds me too much of school and homework and lined notebooks. So I like the freedom of the blank side as a writer, and you can write up to like a whole paragraph of notes on one side or as little as one word. When I first start getting whiffs of an idea or random thoughts about my setting, my characters, the plot, where is the story going to go, and also while I'm doing my research, I do throw everything into a notebook. And over a period of a few weeks to a few months, I just throw everything in randomly. I might do a page for each character, and I just throw in plot ideas into my notebook. Or sometimes I use a Word document now, and I have a file, of course, for each book. And so I just throw all those ideas in, and ideas will come to me very randomly, and I'm not sure where they're going to fit into the book. But I just keep throwing them in as I'm working on research that I'm doing. I put in ideas for the characters, the plot, the setting, the dialogue, and all of my research notes. And eventually the story begins to take shape in my mind, and the characters start becoming more defined. I usually know my setting very well because I tend to be a setting writer. The setting is the springboard for my ideas, and I love taking research trips and researching all the many details that go into the story to really bring that setting and place alive for my readers. Well, I get to the point finally where all this information, all these ideas are just sort of spilling out my brain, and I need to organize them. And that's where the 3x5 cards come in so handy. And I need to really figure out which of those ideas are actual scenes in the book or where they're going to be combined. So I grab my pack of cards and I start just putting all those scenes and those specific plot ideas onto the cards themselves. And I try to do it as quickly as I can, double checking with my notebook all the time or my Word documents to make sure I haven't forgotten any of those plot scenes or ideas. Sometimes pieces of dialogue or pieces of character setting will end up on my cards just to remind me of where I am in the book. But they're all just out of order and just one big jumble, like this picture right here. Okay, so I've got this big jumble of cards. They're all out of order, and I need to start figuring out the order of my cards. And the easiest way to do this is just to get a big table, your big dining room table, or even use the floor. I've actually done this on the floor, kneeling, and you just start laying out all your cards so that you can see them all. About this point, I have between 30 and 50 cards. Sometimes more depending on the length of the book or how complicated it is. And you just lay them all out in whatever order. So you've got them all spread out on your table so you can see your whole book. Usually by this point, when I'm plotting my book on my cards, I like to have the first line figured out, and it's something I've been thinking about as I've been throwing all my ideas into my notebook, and as I'm going through my cards and putting down that one scene or one idea or piece of setting onto each card. I like to know what my first line is. What is the opening of the book? Which also makes it easier once you start to put your cards into order, into your plot order, and having that great first line. Okay, once you've got all your cards laid out on your table or on your floor, you can spend a little bit of time just sort of looking them over and figuring out what is going to be your opening. How are you going to begin the book? And you may have already figured that out, like I mentioned in the last segment. You might have that first line, that opening scene. So which is really great because then you can pick up that card at first and then you look over and say, what comes next? What comes next? And you're just constantly thinking about that, thinking about those different parts of your book, your beginning, your middle, and your end. And you may even just say, I know that all of these cards are going to go in the end. I'm not quite sure where, but I'm going to put those aside. This is all my middle. These are my beginning, and put them in 3 different stacks. And then from there, begin to organize each of those stacks into the sequence of events that is the most dramatic for your book. And so it could take you an hour or 2, or maybe less, depending on how far along you are in your thought process of your story's sequence of events. And so eventually, though, you get all your cards picked up in order. You pretty much have figured out what's your beginning, middle, and end, and those climax points and those building problems in your story until you've got them all in one pack. Now you might also, during this process, realize that you've got holes. And so you may pick up your pen and grab some more empty cards and then fill in some of those holes in your story that you may see already that are there. And so then you've got your stacks of cards that look like this. Okay, so now my whole book is sitting right in front of me. The entire book is right here. I've got 2 right here. And the images that I just showed you are of 4 different books that I use the 3x5 card plotting method with, both published books and unpublished, and some works in progress. So now you've got your cards. They're all in order, beginning, middle, and end. You've got your climax and resolution cards at the very end, your opening scenes at the very beginning, and now all you have to do is write the book, right? Well, for most writers, this is a very scary time. You've done your research, you've been thinking about your book, you might have detailed character sketches, you've got your opening, your terrific opening line, and you've got your whole plot, but you've got to actually sit down and write the book. And first drafts are often a little scary and a little nerve-wracking. What if I get stuck? What if I don't know really where I'm going? What if all my cards is just the whole wrong plot for this story? But you have to relax, because this is where 3x5 cards come in so handy. So relatively speaking, writing your first draft is going to be a piece of cake. You do have to get your body in the chair at your desk before your computer, your laptop every day and actually do the work. But your 3x5 cards make it so much easier and take away a lot of that scariness of your first draft. You're rarely going to get stuck because you've got your whole book right here in your cards. And it's all in order now. And if you didn't like how the order happened, you can always go through, lay them out again, reshuffle, reorder, or add cards or take cards away, because they're your cards. So when you sit down to actually draft, you've got your stack. You don't want to lay them out because that gets confusing and you've got too many ideas going through your head. So what's so great about the 3x5 cards is that you stack them up and you're just going to write the scene that's on the very first card and only that scene. And when you're done with that scene, you stick it at the bottom of the stack and you've got your next scene right there. And so then you write your next scene and you put that on the bottom of your stack and so forth. And so it's not overwhelming at all because all you have to worry about at that moment is just writing the scene, that idea that's on your card. And they are your cards. You can write whatever works for you. You can write as little or as much as you want. And if you get stuck, sometimes you might get stuck. Sometimes after you've written a big chunk of the book, you're several chapters in, and things might be feeling a little awkward, or the ideas aren't quite flowing. So you can go through and look through, shuffle through a few of the cards, and it might help you to see what's coming up down the road. You might have to reorder the cards or take some away. Some scenes you may end up using 3 cards for a scene, or you may end up having to add cards because the scene ended up developing in new and unexpected ways. Also, as you get into your story and your characters become alive, and they're live and breathing on the page, and they're starting to do unexpected things, you can always add or combine or take away. But that's really terrific when you're to that point and your characters are taking off and your head is really into the story. But every day, all you have to do is sit down and worry about that one scene to get you going for that day's work, because you have your whole basic book there. And so for me, the 3x5 cards take away the whole scariness of the first draft, and you never have to sit down and worry about what's coming up next, what do I write next, because you've got it on your cards. They're all right there. And here's one last final thought. 3x5 card plotting isn't just for writing a novel or a book. I think it could work very well for writing a dissertation or an essay or a paper for school, for any student or graduate student. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that 3x5 card plotting can be very useful for you. So run out to the store and grab you some cards and start trying it out, and have fun.